I go out there and I fight harder than anybody else on a Saturday night anywhere across the world. And you can tell a difference when I step inside of the octagon. So I take it as a compliment when people are mad at me that I am waiting for Conor, because selfishly they want to see me fight. I've had to silence the critics, silence the doubters. They're not going to let this guy wait me out.
Our next superstar started his MMA career in Strikeforce. You know this guy. He's a UFC star, lightweight division. He's an inspiration to me. He's an author, a speaker. He gives up a lot of his time and energy. This guy's gonna have a massive career. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, my friend, Michael Chandler. Let's go! Come on!
Let's go! Let's go!
In 13 weeks, is it 13?
13 weeks.
What happens?
My greatest moment of opportunity, the brightest lights, what I have been working for my entire life, and something I've been waiting patiently for about the last 13 or 14 months, fighting Conor McGregor in June. There's an Irishman across the pond who needs to get his mouth punched a couple times.
Yeah, and I saw him in this movie, his debut movie. Did you see the movie?
I have not seen the movie yet. I'm a big fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. I actually did a scene with Jake Gyllenhaal in the movie. He beat me up in one of the highlight things, but I have not seen it yet.
Yeah. Don't waste your time.
There's been mixed reviews, but it looks good.
I'm just on a truth pledge just for the next 30 days, so I have to tell the truth. How many of you took the truth pledge? Okay, good.
I didn't, but I'm going to be honest up here, I swear.
Yeah, I know you will, because I love you. I love this guy, and I'm telling you, this guy's going to have a massive career beyond fighting. Let's just go back a second. How did you get in the game? Why? Why did you want to fight? I watch this. I watch you guys. You end up with messed up ears. People have a hard time. Like every time I watch it, I'm like, why does anybody choose this path?
The funny thing is, there's sometimes I watch fights, and I think, why? Like, why do I do this? And my wife as well, she's like, why do we do this to ourselves? But no, truly, I was a small guy from a small town right outside of St. Louis, Missouri. Let's go, St. Louis. And I was undersized, right? So I wasn't gonna be the starting point guard. I wasn't gonna be the star quarterback. So I wrestled 103 pounds as a freshman. And it turned out hand-to-hand combat was my calling. Picking a guy up, putting him down, breaking his will. But then I also wrestled in college with two guys who went on to be champions outside of, or in fighting, Tyron Woodley, Ben Askren. They were like my big brothers, my mentors, the guys that I looked up to, the guys I wanted to be like. And I got my degree in personal finance with a minor in real estate, but I wasn't quite ready to, go into the market, so to speak. I still wanted to work with these hands. Real estate's
easier than the octagon, right?
It is, but we're laying a good foundation for the post-fight career. So, and then now I figured I'd try it 3 months after I graduated in 2009, and I've been trying it now for 15 years, and it's been a ride, to say the least.
So what is it you saw that you're like, I want to go do that?
Man, I just, honestly, I just took a chance. I really just saw it, and I thought, obviously I got the job market, I got the degree, but I loved hand-to-hand combat. I knew I wasn't going to be able to climb what we call the Olympic ladder to become the #1 guy in the country to go then wrestle for the United States. Mixed martial arts, I knew that what I did throughout the last 9, 10 years of my life leading up to my transition into mixed martial arts, there was not a man on the planet who was going to outwork me. There's not a man on the planet who was tougher than me. I could be standing across the cage, which I did just 18 months into my career, standing across the cage from a guy named Eddie Alvarez, who was the #3 guy in the world at the time, and something in me said, I don't care what your world ranking is, I don't care who you've beaten, I'm going to beat you, and I did just that. I became a world champion within 18 months, and then that was years ago, decades ago, and here we are.
Does it feel like it was a long time ago?
Man, it kind of does. I will be 38 in a couple weeks. Don't tell anybody. Everybody thinks I'm a lot younger than this, but I still feel like I'm 25 years old, and I think I've just, kept my nose to the grindstone. I've done what others won't do. I've flexed the discipline muscle every single day, and it's prolonged my career. And yeah, sometimes I pinch myself because it's a ruthless game. This game, you guys saw Iron Mike Tyson earlier. Boxing, mixed martial arts, these sports will chew you up and they will spit you out and they will beat you down to your knees and keep you there for as long as you will let it. And it's happened to me a couple times, the ups and downs, but 15 years, we're still
You understand a business career will last longer than a career in the octagon.
I do, yeah. But it's all about, it's all about platform, right? So, a wise man once said, if they don't know you, they won't flow you, right? So,
but I didn't say get hit in the face.
I know, but we're building the platform. We're making good on the promises we made to myself, my family, and I still have this well-enabled body that is such a blessing to be able to do what I do. And with that, I have a voice, I have a platform, and stack away a little bit of cash that we're investing.
Hey, so in 13 weeks, how do you get ready? Everybody here, you guys have worked to a timeline before. You had a certain timeline. For me, the longer the timeline, the more dangerous it is, the shorter it is, actually the safer I feel. How do you manage 13 weeks? Is that too long? It's longer than you've ever prepped for a fight.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. So normally I do an 8-week training camp. Well, truthfully, I'm always training to stay in shape, but there's really that 2-month, 8-week focus time. Eat, sleep, breathe, fighting. Go to the gym, go to the grocery store, maybe go to body work, sit on the couch, do some business stuff, do whatever, and then do my second training for the day. That's kind of my little 3 or 4 step process, Groundhog's Day every day for 8 weeks. But this year, I've been off waiting for this guy that we won't speak his name anymore. But I've been waiting for a year for this, right? So I've been outside of training camp for 13 months now. So I've just decided to do an extra 4 weeks, lay a good solid foundation, get my feet back underneath me, gain that confidence. So when we start that 8-week training camp, it's nonstop go, and it's 2-3 workouts a day, eating perfectly, sleeping perfectly, 100% solely focused, blinders on for a fight.
So for the 8 weeks, you're just like,
yeah.
That's all you're doing?
Yeah, and it's very
Are you a dad? Are you a husband in that period of time?
I am a, it's one of those, the conundrum of a man, obviously, for me especially, is knowing you are doing what you were called to do, but knowing that you are falling short in certain areas, right? But I've given myself the permission to be extremely selfish for those 8 weeks. I know I make the sacrifice every weekend. I fly home and I see my family in Nashville, Tennessee. I get to see my boys. I have my 2 boys, my wife. I'm somewhat of a shell of the dad that they're used to. I'm somewhat a shell of the husband that my wife is used to. But that
for that period of time.
Yeah, just for that period of time, because I know I'm there, but am I really there? And there's these little conundrums that I have inside my mind, and showing myself the grace that knowing this is a short window of opportunity, there's a short period of time. If I make these sacrifices for this short period of time, then the glory comes, then the platform comes, then the providing for the family comes, and I've given myself permission to do that.
This has got to be a good payday with him, right? I mean, he does bring the gate up.
He brings the gate up, he brings the views, he brings the eyeballs, he brings the platform, he brings the pressure, he brings the media, he brings everything, right? So it's something that we've already continued and started to visualize and prepare ourselves for and see before we even kind of get into the thick of it, right? So it's going to be an interesting opportunity.
So have you guys ever been interested in how a fight gets negotiated? Like who gets what, how do they figure it out? Can you give us some of the insides of it? Because Dana won't tell me shit.
Dana won't tell you nothing. I have made my career in life on becoming an indispensable asset to the organization that I fight for. Just like you, just like anybody in the room, any business owners, everyone was created equal, but not everybody deserves every single opportunity based upon their work ethic, the type of person that they are, how they operate, their integrity, their character, what they bring to the table. We all have a stock. Every single one of you guys has a stock ticker on top of your head, and what you contribute is what you're going to get out of it, right? And I've been a guy who has kept my nose clean. I've been a guy who has been in the positive headlines. I've been a guy who doesn't trash my organization. I've been a guy who hopefully young kids look up to, that moms want their kids to be like, that other men want to see and say, hey, I want to be more like that, right? And I negotiate my own contract. My last contract I negotiated myself, which is not a non-scary thing when you're talking about Dana White, Hunter Campbell and these guys. But you know your worth, and there's always been you know how he is, right?
So you sat down with Dana and Hunter,
yeah,
and just worked the deal out.
Yeah, and but it was also they're very quick and to the point too. It's I'm not going to ask for way more than I'm worth, and they're not going to undershoot me by a crazy amount. And we kind of figure it out as men, as businessmen. I look at myself like a business, and they look at me. They have a business to run. Yeah.
And have you seen other guys over negotiate their position?
1,000%. And I think it's probably the biggest problem that we have in society today is overvaluing yourself before you've actually gotten there, right? I'd much rather be the guy who the person I'm negotiating with was like, hey, you know what? We left a little bit more meat on the bone here, right? More than, oh shoot, we paid him too much. Now the expectations are exponentially higher. Therefore, the chances of me not superseding said expectations are much higher, and it's going to be a tough tug of war relationship, right?
So I don't know how many UFC fans here?
Hey, let's go. Let's go.
How many of you have never seen a UFC fight?
That's okay.
Let me hear.
Okay.
Say 10x if you've never seen a UFC fight. All right, well, just trust me on this, all right? This dude, when he goes into a ring, I mean, you know in the first couple of rounds, like, okay, Mike's not going to win this one, or he's going to win it. But what you know for absolute sure, it is going to be a bloody, unbelievable, like he's going to make highlight reels no matter what.
Yeah.
Like when you go in there, are you thinking, I think sometimes my wife and I were watching a fight and I'm like, shit, he don't care if he wins. He just wants reels now. Is that possible?
You know what? I think, as an MMA analyst, right? You look at two guys, they're about the same weight. You got two arms and they got two arms and two legs. There's X's and O's, there's punches, kicks, knees, elbows, there's techniques, and there's things going on. But there's also a spiritual battle going on as well, right? There's a battle of the wills going on as well. And yes, I am a guy who I am not afraid to take a punch in order to land a few punches. I'm not afraid to engage in hand-to-hand combat in a fashion that is playing more towards breaking that man's will to fight, breaking that man's heart to win, than just maybe landing more punches or getting more punches landed on me. It's not always the best technique. It's not always the best game plan, but at some point you can't fight who you are. I am a fighter through and through. I'm not that much of a fighter through and through. I might be one of the most non-confrontational people in this room. But when that cage door closes, you know you're operating within your will and the purpose for your life and your calling. You just got to roll with it. And sometimes you got to let it fly, and sometimes you just got to swing as hard as you possibly can, as many times as you possibly can.
So your goal, if I'm hearing you right, it's not just to win the fight; it's to break the guy's will first.
Yeah, not always the best. Not always the best game plan, right?
But what happens when you know? I mean, when do you know you break their will, Mike? And when do you know, shit, I ain't breaking this guy's will?
Yeah, no, and then there's been a couple of those, and obviously as the competition goes up, myself and a guy named Justin Gaethje, who fights in a couple weeks, we had Fight of the Year 2021. I knew I wasn't breaking him. I tried,
How did you know?
Man, you can just tell. You can see it in the guy's eyes. You can see it in his body language. But I've been wrestling since I was 14 years old. I've gotten my hands on my opponent, around my opponent, felt his body wilt, felt the gas, so to speak, start falling out of his body, right? And then you see that kind of metaphoric energy level just go down, 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 down. And I've said it from the very beginning, if I can get to the center of the cage before you, if I can make you second guess yourself in that first exchange, then you're immediately going to start second guessing yourself, and then that's when the negative thoughts, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities start to well up inside of you, and then it's a lot easier to break, a lot easier to win.
When did you break? When you were in there and you're like, okay, my will just, because I mean that could happen in reverse,
it could
right?
definitely happen. I mean, it's never. I'm not going to try to act like a tough guy, but it's really honestly never happened. Have I been extremely dead dog tired? Absolutely. Have I every now and then wished that I didn't have to get up off the stool and go now fight another guy again after 3 rounds already, 4 rounds, 5 rounds? Because these are 5-minute rounds, which seems like an eternity. We wrestled 2 minutes. Or
5-minute rounds.
5-minute rounds for the championship fights. And before I came to the UFC, I was the champion in another organization called Bellator, and I was a champion 3 different times for the majority of my career. So therefore, I was fighting the majority of my fights, 5-minute round title fights. And I've peed blood after fights. I've passed out after fights. You get to a point where your body really does break down and fall over and kind of quit on you, but it's never been inside the cage. It's always been, okay, I'm good. Then you make that walk, stepping down those 3 steps out of the octagon, get back to the locker room, and then your body just kind of falls apart.
Yeah, so is that why I see a guy, you can see he's got leg damage during the fight, but he's not limping inside. Last bell, they announce the winner, and then the guy's crippled, walking. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think one thing is, adrenaline is a heck of a drug, man. Adrenaline is a real thing, and I think the reason we love mixed martial arts so much, the mixed martial arts fans in the room and around the world, is what we're doing is a physical manifestation of the true essence of a battle, right? And when you're inside of the octagon, and I've said this and I've kind of joked, I wish it hurt. I wish when I got hit, it hurt a little bit. I wish
it doesn't hurt?
It doesn't hurt, but I wish it did, because then maybe something inside of me would say, hey, maybe you shouldn't fight the way you fight. Maybe you should put your hands up a little bit more. Maybe you should protect yourself a little bit. But unfortunately, you feel the impact, you don't feel any pain, so therefore you're like, well, that didn't hurt. Oh, yeah, I think that's blood, but I'm gonna keep on going forward, right? But yeah, it's the adrenaline. You don't feel anything, you don't feel any pain, and I think that's why, there's this love-hate relationship with the sport of mixed martial arts amongst fighters, right? I love who I am inside of the octagon, and I'm glad I'm a different person outside of the octagon, and it can become a drug that is so intense that you can't replicate it anywhere else in the world, and that's why you've seen some fighters struggle, right? Because you're not gonna ever be able to replicate that. But yeah.
You mean when their career's over, they're not gonna be able to?
Yeah, or even, I just heard a guy who fought last weekend do an interview talking about, every other Saturday besides the Saturdays that I get to fight 2 or 3 times a year just doesn't have the same oomph, right? And that's where we hope that that's why we can hopefully continue to build ourselves as human beings to find our purpose everywhere else or in other places, and not just fighting inside of a cage. I love fighting inside of a cage. I'm very glad that God called me to do it, but there's so many more things that I am proud of myself to be for my purpose more than just fighting in a cage.
Speaking of breaks, because you were talking about breaks earlier, when the body breaks down, how many times have you broken your nose? Because I'm looking at it from over here, bro.
Thanks. Don't draw attention to it, Grant.
Just go ahead and give them a side view so they see what I see.
Where's all right?
Go sideways.
This way?
Just look at me.
Oh, okay.
Look at that. Look at that.
See, I didn't think it was that bad, man. I didn't think it was that bad. Now it looks pretty bad, and at least we're doing it in public. But I broke my nose in my last fight, and actually what is worse than breaking your nose is actually getting what we call cauliflower nose. So obviously, you guys can see my cauliflower ear.
I was going to get to the ears.
Yeah, you're going to get to the ears. But so essentially the way God created the body, you got skin, you got cartilage, and when the cartilage gets hit enough, it swells up between the cartilage and the skin, and then they becomes hard. But I have the equivalent of this inside of my nose as well, and a bad deviated septum, because your nose is majority cartilage. But I've hit this cartilage before, and my nose is completely swelled up inside to where I can't get any airflow through it. Then they had to go in, cut it, drain it, stitch it, give myself somewhat of a septum inside of there. So, yeah, it's...
Who's grateful for being in business?
Yeah.
Like, fuck it.
Stick to it.
How many salespeople here? And you were complaining? Oh, the guy didn't call me back. Okay, guy's got 3 breaks, cauliflower ears.
Cauliflower
I go
nose.
vegan, I'd want to eat his face.
Yeah, you guys are like, I didn't even know what cauliflower nose was before you stepped in here. Now I got, now you learned about it.
I'm like, one thing, Mike Tyson this morning, we had Ray Lewis this afternoon. These guys have had careers, man.
Yeah.
And when I see you, the first time I met you, I said, Michael Chandler will have a career beyond boxing. Or beyond the UFC. What are your goals and ambitions going forward?
Man, I just want to use the platform I've been given to impact people. I want to be wildly successful so I can bless as many people as I possibly can. That's why I love the man that you are, and how you speak and how you put it into existence, and you speak it aloud. That there is nothing wrong with becoming ridiculously successful, wealthy, impactful, full of platform, right? Because the way that I grew up, thank you, yes. The way that I grew up might not be much dissimilar to the way that you grew up. I was a small guy from a small town, and I was taught. I was taught by the actions around me. I was taught by the people around me. I was taught by the words that were spoken to me to play small, to be afraid of going outside of those county lines because the chances of falling on your face outside of those county lines is just way too high. So don't take a chance. Don't take a chance on yourself. Don't get outside of your comfort zone. We're going to put you in this box, and it might not be a successful box, but it'll at least be a comfortable little box. And what I realized was I spent a lot of time in that comfortable little box and little jail cell. So now I've made it my purpose and my passion to say, hey, this is where I was, and I love my mom and dad, and I love where I came from, and I am proud of it. But I was created for so much more than that. So to have a platform to be able to speak to people, to be able to train people, to be able to speak on stages like this, thank you for this opportunity, to be on camera, behind the camera, investments, and just become wildly successful and empower and motivate and inspire people that you were created for so much more than you can think or imagine. And I am so happy that I finally came to that realization. Maybe a little bit too late, maybe not too late, because it's never too late. That was my unique path, and it is my unique story, and there's a story to be told.
When was the first time you saw that there was a box, that it was smaller than you were?
When I went to college. So I spent my entire 18 years of my life in High Ridge, Missouri, right outside of St. Louis, Missouri, high school. And then as soon as I went to college, I'm rooming with a guy from Florida. The guys next to me was a state champ from New Bern, North Carolina, Raymond Jordan. There was a state champion from California. There was another state champion from Illinois, and then Pennsylvania. And then all of a sudden, I zoomed out and realized, wait a second, we are now a melting pot of, this guy was doing exactly what I was doing for all these years in a wrestling room, but he was from this state and that state and all these different views. And it started to expand my mind. And then one of the greatest.
What were you seeing that was expanding you?
It was just their experiences, the way that they saw life, the way that they viewed life, how there might be guys that were struggling with the same things I was struggling with coming from a small town or having a different type of mindset, and then other guys who were just completely different from me. And I was a little bit put off by it. I was a little bit, wasn't intimidated by it, but it felt wrong. You shouldn't be that confident in yourself. You shouldn't see yourself wanting to have that much success. You shouldn't be operating this way because this is how us little human beings are supposed to live, right? And then I became friends with and joined a Bible study with an orthopedic surgeon in Columbia, Missouri. And I saw the way that this man blessed people. He had 2 daughters every single day, spending time with them, doing the homework with them before we came over. And I'm like, wait a second, this is a wealthy man. This is a wealthy man. Aren't these wealthy people supposed to be off-putting, very selfish, not want to give? Because this was kind of the things that I was thinking. And then Bus Tarbox is his name. And I love that. I will love that man to the day that I die because he was one of the people that was that light bulb that went off in my head. And I thought, wait a second, if you have nothing or you don't have a lot, then how are you supposed to share nothing with other people? And he was one of the people that really started expanding my mind, and as well as being surrounded by all these different young men chasing the same dream within these 4 walls of this wrestling room at Mizzou that I spent 5 years, and that's when that kind of clicked.
And did you struggle with, because I grew up in a similar situation where it was like, when I passed my dad up, my dad died when I was 10, and I was like 25 years old, and I was like, passed him up, what he had accomplished. Not consistently, but I was like, Pop, there's something else than what I grew up with. Did you struggle with that? I'm assuming it's your mom and dad that set the box up.
Yeah, and I still struggle with it to this day. It's going to be one of those things that, I call it the small guy from the small town, and I said I'll never be able to slay him, right? Like some dragons, some things that we have in our life, right? They're maybe not meant to be completely gotten over. Maybe they're not meant to completely get pushed out, locked away, and you never see them again. I've just gotten really good at duct taping that little guy from that little town to the basement of my mind, and he's still there with me, and I hated him for a very long time. I was upset at him. He has ruined my life. He has messed up my thinking, but really, he was one of the greatest blessings that I've ever had because having that experience And that lack or that scarcity mindset has propelled me to an abundance mindset that I have today, right? And it's something that, I still am struggling with is, man, I don't think I was ever supposed to be here. I was never supposed to be sitting here with you speaking on this stage. I was never supposed to be going and fighting Conor McGregor, right, in my mind, and here we are.
And it's crazy because Mike Tyson, what did Mike say over and over, by the way? Like, Mike believes that this was his path no matter what. He could not, am I right? Did I misunderstand that? He's like, no matter what, he was supposed to be here. He was supposed to be the best fighter in the world. And you're saying you were given the ability to, but you're the one that made that happen.
Yeah, I mean, and it just took years and years and years, right? And that is the unfortunate part of the world that we live in now, that we can gain access to anybody. I can gain access to every single one of you right now through social media or your YouTube channels or your trainings or your whatever, right? That we've seen so much success and it's so broadcasted, right? So people are always like, hey, give me a secret. What's the secret pill? What's the silver bullet? How do I get to where you're getting? And I'm like, dude, I'm almost 38 years old, and this has been 22 years of doing the exact same thing, hand-to-hand combat, and failure after failure without losing the enthusiasm and saying, well, I'm going to take one on the chin, and thank you, sir, may I have another? The sun's really going to rise again tomorrow. I'm going to wake up, and I'm going to put my running shoes on, or I'm going to put my wrestling shoes on, or I'm going to put my boxing gloves on, and I'm going to get after it again, and eventually the hard work pays off. But you have to be standing there to receive it when it does. The hard work will always pay off, but you have to be standing there not giving up. And too many times we give up too quickly and we think this is a fool's errand or this is never going to happen, and we give up right before the cusp of our greatest moment of opportunity, the biggest platform and the biggest blessing that we ever could have asked for, and here I am.
Let's go. So Michael, how do you continue to reach out to people? Is it examples, mentors, coaches?
Yeah.
Events? How do you keep pushing yourself so that you're not just another box?
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing, right, too. The box expands, but it's still a box, right? And then it expands a little bit more, and it's better than the small box, but now it's just a little bit more of a medium-sized box. And then it's a large box, but I was created for an extra, extra, extra large box, right? So we're just continuing to grow and grow and grow. And yeah, I mean, through my social media platform, through just getting my message out, because no matter what, your message is your calling, and even if it reaches one person or it reaches 1 million people, you are operating within your calling. And if you stay obedient to that little still voice inside of your mind that says keep going, or you stay obedient to that little still voice inside of your heart that says keep pursuing, eventually it will pay off, right? So just that was one of the things as well, right? This past summer we did The Ultimate Fighter, which was a pretty big reality TV show, me versus Conor. It's on ESPN, 12 weeks in a row, biggest sports platform you can ask for. And the majority of the reason why I got that was the man that I am, not the fighter that I am. To be on a platform such as ESPN, you've got to be a little bit more PG than people are these days, or especially in the sport of mixed martial arts, right? You had to have had a track record. You have to be exciting. You have to have this great list of checklists that needed to happen, right? So the biggest thing for me is operating within exactly who I am, and exactly who I am is not who some people like. You might know a little bit about that, right? And I love your passion for, hey, listen, hating on me ain't gonna make your life any better, right? You know, because as you grow, they're gonna come out of the woodwork, right? But operating within exactly who you are, and exactly who I am, and exactly who y'all are, is always a recipe for success. It might take a little bit longer. My recipe for becoming successful in the sport of mixed martial arts was a much longer road than if I wanted to dye my hair, get a bunch of tattoos, talk a certain way, walk a certain way, do certain things, take pictures and videos with the right people to then do right to build this big persona, right? I'm like, nah, man, I'm just Michael Chandler, man. And maybe I think a little bit too lowly of myself sometimes, but this is exactly who I am, and I'm gonna keep on going, and I'm gonna keep on fighting, and I'm gonna keep on pursuing until the wheels fall off.
But You know, when you have an event, you got 13 weeks coming up, man. You got this big event. I mean, it's easier when you got something coming up.
It is much easier. The last year has been like, where's the target? I'm looking for a target.
Talk to me about that. Like how hard is it to stay enthusiastic when there's no defined, specific, measurable, attainable target?
Gratitude, being grateful, even in the waiting, even in the patience, even in seeing the negative hate and the headlines that, hey, this fight's never going to happen. He's never going to come back. Why are you wasting your career? I mean, it's something I've never...
Saying that about you or him?
About me, okay. Right? Because you got Conor and you got me, right? I am known as the guy, like you said. I appreciate the words. Like I go out there and I fight harder than anybody else on a Saturday night anywhere across the world. And you can tell a difference when I step inside of the octagon. So I take it as a compliment when people are mad at me that I am waiting for Conor, because selfishly they want to see me fight next Saturday. They want to see me fight 2 Saturdays from now, right? So I've had to silence that. I've had to silence the critics, silence the doubters. I've drank the Kool-Aid a little bit every now and then and had my moments where, woe is me.
You bought into it.
I bought into it and like, hey man, maybe it is time to jump off this train. Maybe it is time to jump off this path and go somewhere else, fight somebody else. And maybe I can fight this guy and then I'll still fight Conor in a couple months. But I've stuck to my guns. I'm happy I did it. I followed my gut, and my gut said, we're not going to let this guy wait me out. And that plan is going to come to fruition, and it's going to work out. And it's going to work out really well here this summer, and we're going to do some damage.
We're going to do some damage. Now, when you get in there, dude, do you want to hurt the guy?
I don't. Now, if you watch,
I do. When I get in the ring, I actually want to hurt people.
Now, if you watch the way that I fight, it looks like I am trying to absolutely hurt somebody badly, right? But really, I do just see a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. I see targets, and I see a job to do. I don't see a man. I don't see a spirit. I don't.
No, wow.
I don't, and I'm glad I don't, because I'm not fighting with malice in my heart to hurt an individual. I'm fighting with a calling on my heart to do a job to the best of my ability, and it just so happens that one of the byproducts of that is hurting another individual, preferably badly, while I'm in there. But no, I just see 2 arms and 2 legs, and I see targets. I see a job to do.
Wow. I would love to have that kind of street confidence. You know what I'm saying? How many of you'd like to have the confidence to know you could be in the marketplace, some shit could go down, and you can be like, I can take care of everybody, physically take care of everybody around. How many of you like to have that 10X? We ought to teach that in school. Yeah. The kids should learn how to do that.
Well, I tell you what, we can. There's a mixed martial arts gym within 5 miles of here, I'm sure, right? You know, and I do think, you know, every man was created for a battle to fight and an adventure to have and a beauty to win, right? So the more that we can build ourselves up and make ourselves a human weapon, it's going to move over and disseminate into other areas of my life. So yes, obviously having confidence that I can do some damage in hand-to-hand combat against anybody in the world is a pretty good thing.
Brandon told me that we're going to be doing something with you at 10X Health. I don't know if that's deals inked or done or not, but I know we're talking about it. So he would represent something for us that represents health and vitality and looking good and staying fit. I mean, 38?
38, April 24th.
Do you look good? Does he look good?
Except for my nose, right, Grant?
The nose is terrible,
the nose needs some work, but
yeah, I mean, maybe you need to give up on the nose. What happens in this fight? Can you give me a prediction? What happens?
What's that? That we're gonna knock him out. A knockout is definitely how this fight ends. I think
it is.
Yes, I think from the first exchange, Conor McGregor is going to realize that the time off, the overblown version of the person he is in his mind is going to quickly be deflated when we make that center of the octagon where the battleground is, instill fear in him, instill him second-guessing himself, put himself on his back foot, and absolutely break his will. Not in the first round. I'd like it to wait till the second so you guys get a little bit of a show. But we probably 7 minutes into the fight. 7, the number of perfection, KO, flat-backed, flat-lined. And it's going to be fun. A beating of biblical proportions.
Now, what's he going to say?
He's going to say something in his Irish accent, like he's still got it, like he's still dangerous.
You don't think he does?
No, he does. And here's the thing.
He's how old?
He's 35.
Okay.
Now, I have defended Conor. I have no problem. I have no ego when it comes to my opponents, right? I will give my opponents props. I think it bodes well for me because I would rather be in that mindset than he's this, he's that, he's not here, he's not good here, not good there. Conor McGregor is a fighter. Conor McGregor's first love was mixed martial arts. Every single thing that he has, the celebrity that he has, the platform that he has, came first from the sport of mixed martial arts. It was his first love. It is his first love, and he has a passion for it. So I do not underestimate the passion that the man has for mixed martial arts. I do believe my passion is greater. I do believe my discipline is greater. My work ethic is greater. I believe the good guy wins in this fight. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but I am saying it's time that the good guy wins. It's time that the good stands over his lifeless body with my hands in the air.
What do you think, Michael? This guy right here, you know this guy, you know Michael? Michael's diehard UFC. Michael
He's always
Cipriani's been to more fights than Dana White has.
Yeah, okay. It's true. I saw him I saw you in Miami.
You think he wins? You betting on him?
My man.
Okay. What are you going to do after this, bro? When you're done? I mean, it's got to be what, a couple more years, 3 years?
Yeah. Use the platform to make an impact and monetize it. I've set myself up when it comes to investments. I've invested in a couple different companies. I've started a couple different companies. Fitness will always be one of my branches, right? I think to be 38 years old, Tom Brady has been on this stage, right? For Tom, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Tom Brady, right? To do what he has done for as long as he did at the age he was at, when you're not supposed to be competing at a high level at his age, right? I am trying to be in that realm, right? So people look at me and think, man, you are 38 years old? Usually by the time you're 38, I would have limped onto this stage, probably had a couple different painkillers in me because of the way the game had chewed me up and spit me out. But because of the way that I take care of my body, nonstop working out, nutrition, supplementation, sleep, and all the different advancements, obviously with 10X Health, that you guys are well-versed in. So I started my own fitness app called Walk On Fitness. We have a bunch of different programs that I've created. My trainer who trains a bunch of NFL guys, my wife's trainer daily, and we're gonna build that and make an impact through fitness, as well as taking the cash flow from investments and trying to bless people, as many people as possible. I invested in a tequila company called Hiatus Tequila. Cram Nutrition is a healthy peanut butter and jelly company. So these products, services, these different investments that I have that I have a passion for, and then try to help build those companies with the people. Well,
I want to help you, and I'm excited about watching what you do. What does the term 10X mean to you?
Man, it is. The funny thing is I've always known that I was created for something ridiculously special, even though that small voice inside me said, yeah, but it's too scary. Yeah, but you might fail. Yeah, but they might laugh at you. And here I am on the cusp of my 10X moment, right? And doing things right, operating with integrity, not being afraid to do things that are against the grain. And eventually, like I said, that hard work pays off. And when it does pay off, it pays off in droves. And when it does pay off, it is more crazy, more exponentially beautiful than you ever thought it could possibly be. So to me, 10X is a mentality that starts with 0.01X every single day, doing the small things. If you can be brilliant with the basics, God's word says, he who can be trusted with the small things, then and only then can you be trusted with the big things, the exponential things, the 10X things. So we get to these 10X moments and we have the 10X mindset and we surround ourselves with the 10X type of people and we put the 10X work ethic in, but it's the 0.01X every single day, doing things that are brilliantly basic, that nobody ever sees, that is behind closed doors, that is in the comfort of your own home, or it's the small different disciplines that you do every single day that leads to the greatest moment of opportunity, and you're able to grab that 10X by the horns and just live life to the fullest.
Mike Chandler, come on.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. God bless.
Come on, give it up.
Yeah, my man.
Oh.